Go ahead.
So like on both sides of my family, my mother and my father, both sides of their family, they teachers. I'm talking
Right.
about hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying? Their parents was teachers. Their parents was teachers. You know what I mean? My father, my grandmother, his mother, and her sister started Welfare Pride and started the WIC program. So now that I'm home, I'm looking at my children. I'm looking at my daughter. Block crazy. I'm in Philly. I said, let me clean the block up. And so I went out there and I cleaned the block up. And so I said, you know what? Let me start doing this. If I'm indigenous, I'm not. If I gotta pay attention to my block. This was 2008, 2009, and by the end of the summer, all of the kids on the block would come out, and it was something that they would come and knock on my door. It's time to clean up the block, kind of thing. So me and my mom said, you know what? Let's run with this, and let's keep the community clean. So we started with just that. So, what you want to be? White, black, Asian? You can check whatever box you want to. They don't tell you that you can't check whatever box you want to. And so my thing with that is, we still that question is it's going to keep you in their system. The question is, what do we call ourselves when they don't have anything to do with it?
Sometimes it make your mind dissolve, trying to solve something not meant for you to solve. You got to search for inner peace. Inner peace.
Attitude. Gratitude.
Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. So we live, you know what I mean? Sorry about that interference earlier. I had to get my shit right, you know what I mean? So, Wi-Fi connections. Also, don't forget Wi-Fi Wednesdays. Since I can plug that in real quick off things that, you see how malfunction lead to things? I'm always going to plug. You know what I'm saying? Worldly Indigenous Fresh Individual Wednesdays. We do every Wednesday on Clubhouse. You can come tap in, have a great conversation with us and others, you know what I mean, that tap in from worldly situations and their indigenous and individual freshness, you know what I'm saying? So check us out on Wednesday, 6 to 10 o'clock on Clubhouse. Actually, that's the thing we do. Wi-Fi Wednesdays, the Autonomous Party Social Club. You know what I mean? So I want you to tap into that. And it's live. You know what I mean? Come tap in, sources and all. We live with it. We freestyling with it. We talking them, going back and forth, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We accepting all conversations on a Wednesday. Outside of that, though, again, shout out to Music Media Lounge. And before we get started, I mean, the Autonomous Party Social Club, because this year we've been doing a lot of things in the social club. We ain't really promoting like certain people know about it. If you know type of thing. But after this month of December, because some people celebrate these days and time, and a lot of people get caught up with their family these days and time. And actually, I wanted to talk about it earlier, but I'm running a little bit behind, so I want to make sure I get to my guests. Let me pull them up. Let's pull up the guests real quick, man. Travis, yeah, what up?
Peace, peace, peace. How y'all doing?
Doing all right, brother. Thank you for tapping in, man. Everything clear on your side? We good?
Yeah, we good. I got a little bit of family around, and so I hope you don't mind. I'm just jump into my
Ain't no
living room and
pressure.
do this real quick.
Ain't no pressure, man. Family's good. That's the great part about this conversation. It's all about connecting back to the family anyway. So you shout out to you and your family that's tapping in tonight. Uh, we do a lot of we cover a lot of ground on the Thomas Party. So I'm gonna say that to you first.
Hmm.
But we always go back to our roots. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our dude with the Thomas Party, dealing with the social club, Opie Mija, our chairperson of genealogy. You know what I'm saying? That kind of guides us when we have roadblocks and us connecting back to our roots, dealing with the genealogy. So a lot of people, and shout out to God of Green too. I know he got a lot of things on his table, but he does fall, you know what I mean, in that same route of dealing with that committee of, because he's been helping me with my genealogy for years. You know what I'm saying? Shout
Okay.
out to God of Green. Um, but with you,
Hmm.
I want to go straight to it though. Tavis Sanders, you've been doing YouTube joints. People been asking questions. A lot of people want to know some things,
Hmm.
and I want to give clarity to it.
Okay.
I think that you and your mom, shout out to your mom, by the way, have been doing a great job with this, what y'all been doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I don't think people maybe have a clear understanding of the institution and what you're doing it for.
Mm,
So from my standpoint, I'm gonna treat it that way in this conversation
okay.
so that people can have a full clarity of what you and your family have
Hmm.
been doing as an institution based off your genealogy, your heritage, your culture, and what you're trying to do to have a legacy for your people,
Hmm.
commercially as well, economics and all involved, right? Because all this is tied into it, survival wise, of maintaining your family and keeping the legacy of your family going, right? You know
There's
what I'm
only
saying?
one way to be autonomous, and that's to be autonomous, right?
Lord, you're on the same page before we got started. See, by the way, for everybody out there, that's one of my other acronyms. You know what I'm saying? Lord.
Mm,
I don't, when I be saying Lord, people probably think I'm talking about some religious thing, right? But Lord to me is living out righteous decisions.
mm.
Lord,
Living out right decisions.
living out righteous decisions. All right,
Righteous
decisions.
decisions. Okay.
Cool
Nice.
with me. I'm letting you know I'm putting that on the market right there. That I'm the one that said it first. So it's coined on this conversation tonight. I've been saying it for a minute. People don't know that's one of my acronyms. I love acronyms. You know what I'm saying? I'm addicted to acronyms. You know what I'm saying? But I admit that tonight on this show, all right? But yeah, so Lord, you know what I'm saying? When I say Lord, that's a great feeling to me. That's like my expression. But
Okay.
when it comes to the institution, NDU,
Yes.
NDU, I want to get to NDU first before I go to anything else. The institution, all
Okay.
right, that you and your family have set up to help enrich
Hmm.
people with the heritage, the culture, history, and law of how indigenous people will govern themselves.
Hmm.
Am I
Well,
correct?
well, is one of the ways that indigenous peoples can govern themselves
One,
if they choose.
if you choose. I like how you corrected me on that. And I'm glad you're being real. Like, that's real. And if you choose, you have the right to choose, though. That's autonomous, by the way. We'll
Hmm.
go back to that. That's autonomous. So, can we pull up his website just so people can see that real quick?
Oh
The
man, I
website.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, we're going straight to it, man. I mean, because this is the institution, and I'm a witness to your institution. I'm not just talking from the outside when it comes to the institution. I literally have, I have a relationship with you in this situation of what this institution is doing. Have you educated? Not just I've learned some things from the institution. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Just thank you. Simple home. Family-based organization. We are growing, and I guess it started off as a family-based organization. My mother, there she go, the co-founder, our rock as a family, but also as the organization, and our historian. And basically about 12, 15 years ago, I'm looking at moms and like, we got to find a way for us to share what you have with the public. And so we started off with some short little TV shows that aired in Philly. And 14, 15 years later, here we are now with the opportunity to, share on, other platforms, media and publications and newspaper print and of course, television and broadcast. So it's really a great thing, and definitely want to thank y'all for allowing the page to sit right there for a second and allow me
No,
to share
we're gonna
my
let it
mind.
sit there. No, we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna let it sit there for a second. I want people to marinate on what they're looking at. This
Mhm.
matriarch, your mother,
Yes.
and see, people don't think
She
we
is our
shout
she
out.
is our matriarch also. Yes.
Yeah, you see, I use that word for a reason. Shout out to your mom. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Matriarch. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
She it's really Indigenous education, and the acronym is NDU, which stands for Indigenous Education. And really, she the bedrock. She the purpose and the reason why we started doing this. And through her research and then her writing, we got a couple of books published, a couple of documentaries published and placed in a couple of museums and a couple of library systems. And she's and then the television show that airs. And so yeah, that definitely yeah, without her, it's not even a reason for me to be, right? And so she gets all the credit first and foremost.
That's a real thing, man. See, I love that from brothers, man. We got to give credit where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my mom too. See what I'm saying? Since you talking about matriarchs, I got to give shout out to my mom, my wife, my daughter, my sisters, all my aunties. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the matriarchs
Hey, listen, ain't no
that's
man
tapping
that
in.
ain't attached to some woman. And
That's
so
facts.
when as people that have um, people that listen to us, people that watch us, people that look up to us sometimes, it's important for us to always make sure y'all they understand, particularly the young men growing up, that if you ain't attached to the women that took care of you, the women that love you, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna steer off too far, but that's a great point that you made. So being with the institution that you set up,
Mm,
when it comes to impacting the community of our youth, to like people in our age group,
mhm,
to our elders,
mhm.
like people, our mothers, our and if shout out to anybody that got grandparents or great grandparents still alive
Yeah,
in this
definitely.
time in the 21st century tonight. If you've never heard me say it, shout out to you in your genealogy situation. If you have access to tap into a great or a grandmother or grandfather, and if you haven't, please do. By the
Mhm,
way, shout out to the ancestors on that from the ancient of days. You hear me? But
mhm,
when it comes to the institution, can you give me a little insight on what the institution was? Uh, what's the inspiration outside of your mother,
mhm.
obviously in your family, and what your family has already been doing, and why you outside of what your family's doing internally to want it to be presented outside of what you family are doing to
Mhm.
shed light on this indigenous culture that people might not understand about. Can you shed some light on that, please?
Yeah, definitely. As you look at the language script of our particular clan, our family clan, the Wali, I want to acknowledge my mother and my father again. Without them, however, I guess just from just in general, generally speaking, as we get a little bit looser with our conversation for a moment, um, to be frank and honest with you, just like some of the last sounds that we heard before we went on, we all lose somebody. People die every day. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, I had to experience that with one of my children. And um, as I sat home, on medical leave, because I just mentally and emotionally was distraught, recognized that that's not really where I wanted to be. I had already bounced from my father for a minute because, we men, you know what I mean? And this particular path doesn't necessarily offer you the financial benefits that men would want in order for them to be able to take care of their families and things like that. And so after my daughter's passing, I had to reset and recognizing that the system wouldn't hire me because the PSTD uh, said, you know what, let me get up here in these streets and do something. Started off with my block. I'm a kid's man. I'm a single father, so I already had a 12-year-old daughter that I was raising. Um, and so, her and her children, her friends playing on the block. The block was crazy. And so I said, you know what? I'm home now. I had a job that had me out the house like 18 hours, 16-hour days. I was working for the public transportation system. So anybody that worked for that, y'all already know how them kind of hours is. So now that I'm home, I'm looking at my children. I'm looking at my daughter. Block crazy. I'm in Philly. I said, let me clean the block up. And so I went out there and I cleaned the block up. And so I said, you know what? Let me start doing this. If I'm indigenous, I'm not. If I gotta pay attention to my block. This was 2008, 2009. And by the end of the summer, all of the kids on the block would come out and it was something that they would come and knock on my door. It's time to clean up the block kind of thing. So, me and my mom said, you know what, let's run with this and let's keep the community clean. So we started with just that. Um, and a good brother named Shafiq, he here in Philly, he do a lot. He was doing a radio show back in the day, sharing indigenous information. He suggested that we turn it into a nonprofit. And I looked at my mom's and was like, you know what? It's a great way for me to um, share the information, a great way for me to service the community and have it not be about money, which is you know, something that our community is 100% invested in. And so I figured, through the nonprofit, a good way for me to do most of the stuff for free, and then show people it's ways for us to still maintain ourselves business wise, but still be able to focus particularly and strictly on us and what it means for us to evolve now that we got all this information around us.
I mean, but now all this information around you, man, like how do you deal with all that? Because your website is very vast. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on, but the institution, either way, because I'm a witness to that. I literally took one of the classes
Hmm.
myself, supporting the institution, and to see for yourself. I feel you got to do it yourself.
Right. Well, you
So I'm
know
not
what?
going. Go ahead.
So like on both sides of my family, my mother and my father, both sides of their family, they teachers. I'm talking
Right.
about hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying? Their parents was teachers. Their parents was teachers. You know what I mean? My father, my grandmother, his mother, and her sister started Welfare Pride and started the WIC program. And so, we really, as far as the blood and as far as the generational transfer of just, expecting more and understanding that the system isn't our issue. Our issue is that we need to understand what systems are about. That's kind of like what indigenous education, that's what they did to me. And so indigenous education, again, your social services, we do the cleanups, you know, um, food donations, food drive, do all the little things that you can, right, in a local community. But then for the larger public, it was this space where my father was telling me, slow down, son, take your time, take your time. I'm 44 now, and I've literally been doing this since I was like 19. On my own situation, not including what my father was doing before I had, before I was an adult and had my own opportunity to make my decision. And so, just the natural elevation and evolution of that, and our understanding as a family core unit, and then understanding that is really important for us to outline this historical misnomer, right, that has happened, right, and then
Right.
with all of the information, all information isn't good information,
That's
and
a fact.
so what information is relevant and important for us to be able to really ground ourselves in this idea of indigenousness and the reality of reorganizing and reestablishing ourselves. And so the history was important, the culture was important, which my dad do, and then the law was important, and that's where I fell in. But through the nonprofit, we're able to showcase and educate about these things without um, promoting or advertising things like that might get you in trouble legally, right?
That's a real thing. And I like how you broke that down. So you could do it the right way and be able to move culturally within your own dynamic, which is still autonomous.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's the
It's
one
the
thing I
only
want
way.
to point out. That's the only thing I want to point out. So, um, when it comes to the classes that you and your mother teach and your
Mhm.
father, your family, uh, I want to make sure the institution part is covered kind of first. You know what I mean? Before I go into other parts of our conversation tonight. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the institution, what do you look to people to get in this day and time from it?
Well, first things first is, grounded in fact without the emotionalism, and without the sensationalism of the information. Um, my mom has taught me that, propaganda and sensationalism is um, tickers, things that they look for and the things that they use to manipulate our particular culture because of the the human things that our people have that attract us versus other communities, and the things that they have that attract us. You can kind of look
Right.
at all of us and see different things about our peoples in general, right? And so the institution, first you have to understand that it's institutions, and that the institutions are what allows us to operate. And so as we grow from a small family nonprofit into an educational institution that will be um, K through 12 certified curriculum, we actually
Wait,
look at.
stop. Wait, stop. Please. Can you repeat that one more time? What is getting ready to take place? What are you do? What is happening? What are you doing?
Well,
Please
so
say again.
education is fundamental.
Correct.
And so and fact-based education is also fundamental. So I mean, from a non-ideological, non-religious perspective, we start to institute and organize systems that will allow us to be autonomous with respects to how we conduct our business internally, what I do with my kids, and then those people that choose to work with me and how we doing things, and then incorporate new ways to improve the situation. That's all done internally as an indigenous peoples. And so as a small group, we began with the nonprofit from a baseline of educating the public. And now
Right.
the public, again, this is 2008, 2009 when I started this, you know what I mean? And so, you know, 10, 12 years later, now that the public has been, educated to a certain degree, I kind of think my mom had a little bit to do with that, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but now
Yeah.
that we're there,
Who for those who paid attention?
for
I'm saying it
and
like that.
then yeah, and then again, we all influence each other, and so you can see a little bit of people's work and other things if you're looking. But with that said, after now that we're there, the public is aware. We have other individuals that are doing their best to educate. Hopefully,
Right.
we can start having other institutions such as yours begin to start to organize themselves. Our particular institution is done with the public aspect of it, and we're really interested in grounding ourselves in the indigenous education. So establishing the curriculum that our people would be able to go and come under, and then use that diploma, those degrees in their system as the first step for us to be able to say we have the ability, we understand the concepts, and we hold the capacity to truly be self-governing. But again, that takes time. It takes the public to become slowly aware of what self-governing means at its various levels, and then to take conversations like this so that we can just keep sharing in the open. Am I making sense? Is
No, no.
this?
I mean, to me, I get everything you're saying. God, I think I don't know of everybody else. I mean,
See, I'm
yeah.
a
So you know what
lawyer,
I'm
so
saying. I think
sometimes that lawyer
no,
talk.
no. You are talking lawfully speaking. So
I
that's
have.
why I'm glad. That's another reason. See, you highlighted that by now. See, I wasn't going to point that out. See, I went to sometimes I miss those things because of our conversation, but I have time, so I can retract and be like, hold on, wait a second. Da, 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 da. So, when it comes to this from a lawful standpoint, dealing with indigenous people,
Mm,
jurisdiction.
mm,
See the
mm.
key words I'm using lawfully right now. But the thing that you stood out and the last part you brought out was about the education for the youth, that your jurisdiction in the institution that you have is actually set up to where people that have children that might be from 6th grade to 12th grade
Mhm.
can actually come in and take courses, graduate from it, and it has to be acknowledged in the system that they're already coming from. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah, yeah,
So if somebody graduates from the institution at NDU with a 12th grade degree, that means the system has to say, yes, this man has a high school education. Do you understand what I mean by that?
yes. And the answer is yes.
That's
Yes.
what I want to make sure. I want to make sure we just on the same page. You know what I mean? Some people
Yep.
don't understand. I mean, I really don't think people understand that they really how this works. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna act like tonight we're gonna go through all the fundamentals and things, but I get it. But I still want to say that because that's why I slowed you down. Say, hold up, bring it back. But I want to make sure I rear it in real close on these certain parts so people can get what we're saying right now with NDDU, right? I said that kind of right.
And,
NDDU,
and NDU and
NDU. I said
I
NDU.
ED. However, it was Indeed. To be honest with you, again, I started this in 2007, 2008, so it was
I like
Indeed.
it though. Either way.
And Indeed stood for Indigenous Education Enrichment and Development. So it was enrichment and development along with the Indigenous education. Um,
Mm.
we had to take the Indeed away because of another nonprofit. Actually, that's good stuff. So we just, you know what, we ain't gonna fight for it. They in Jersey, we in Pennsylvania. We could keep it, but we different, and we want to make sure people know we different. So this is the new the new acronym, right?
And I
uh,
like the sweater fresh and everything. That's on the website, right? You got that on the website. What you
uh,
wearing right now?
no, but it will be. Yeah, matter of fact, it's on our shop site, and so the INDEDU shop
Oh,
dot
see how
com.
you? That's what it's supposed to be. See, I ain't gonna lie. I like how you got that set up. You know what I mean?
Thank
So people, everybody tap into that. Support the brother. If you're just
you.
finding out, the Autonomous Party is tapped in. By the way, we already tapped in, and as a social club side of our podcast and the things that we're doing for the community to be educated on social, political, economic, cultural things. The main thing as a social club that we tap into is indigenous individuals that are aboriginal to America,
Mm-hmm.
having roots to the First Nation people of America, and all the different mixtures that might have came in. Because at the 2021, 21st century, but
Taught
our
us a lot.
history has been muddled.
Mm.
So I want to ask your opinion for the public to hear about that part. How do you feel about that in this day and time, being that, in this day and time, it's the 21st century. This is 1400, this is about 700 years now, right? 14 times 7, that's 21st. Yeah, I ain't off. At the end of the day, though, how do you correlate being that you educate in indigenous information about people today? You don't mind before I ask my next question? I'm lining this up a certain way. You don't mind?
Okay, yeah, definitely. First thing we have to do is, comprehend and understand that the history that we get out of most of our books right now is um, is is prop is at least at least at no yeah, it's at least propaganda, right? That's the least that we get is propaganda, and again, we're very getting a very subjugative and very um uh, some we most of it is lies. Let me just be for real. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure a nice way to say it. It is what it is. Most of it is lies, you know what I mean? And so, understanding that most of history is a lie, I mean literally. And then the lie is built on top of lies. So more relevant and more events that you can say, well, that wasn't necessarily a lie because that actually happened. Yeah, but it happened based off of a lie. You know what I mean? And so the inception of this thing that we call, um, the United States of America is a lie. And so you got to really go back there to really understand who we are and what we can do about the situation as is. So
That's
that's
a
what
fact.
that's what indigenous education is about. First respecting and acknowledging that under education is a issue for our people, and then understand that all of us have been educated by our colonizer. And so if you cannot, you know, if you can't look at yourself and recognize that you're a colonizer, the people that enslaved your ancestor are the very same people that approved the books that you learned from. I don't care what school you went to. You're going to always be at a disadvantage because you're not giving them the credit that is due. But once you recognize that, now you say, okay, well, I have to actually begin from ground zero and re-educate myself. Um, that's what indigenous education has been doing, and so gives everybody, if and people are interested, books like Revealing America's Dark Skinned Past, Volume 1 and 2, which take us back to 50,000 years ago on the continent of America, and talks about people from that moment up until now. You have a better perspective and a better idea. And, quite honestly, you have a better relationship with the environment, with the territory, with history. And you can start to see through the veil a little bit better.
That's real. Now, with the veil being opened up in this day and time, and I see you obviously opened up shop as the institution to educate people that's tapping into this information and want to apply themselves to this information. And I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? That's why we having this conversation. I'm just not a person outside doing a show that doesn't understand the information that you're kicking. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. And I salute you and your family for what you've done and with this institution.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna keep saying that throughout tonight. You don't get mad at me.
Just
You know what I'm
one. This is the public one. I will throw that out there.
I ain't mad at the public or the private side of what this conversation is about, by the way, because I get it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, and you respecting to come on our show, and that's why I just shout out to you to have this kind of conversation, because you have your own platform, you have your own institution. You don't have to tap into us. See, this is the thing that we trying to see. Like, you know that we're an indigenous platform too.
Yes,
Ah.
of course.
And we interview people in this day and time modernly that might not be indigenous because of their talent, music, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the conversation is about what we think the people want to talk about and hear about. But we do make sure it's known that we're Aboriginal American people, and that's running this podcast mix show on Music Media Lounge for the last year, and all our different genealogies, traces to First Nation people of the Americas. That's something we highlight. And we don't also knock here at the Autonomous Party, just so everybody can know for the record. You know what I mean? The mixtures of people that we know came in throughout time and mixed in with these nation, the Mississippi. You brought us something on Clubhouse. Shout out to Clubhouse again. Shout out to all the people on Clubhouse that's tapped in. When I first met you on Clubhouse. That's literally, you met. You know what I'm saying? That's a true story.
Mm-hmm.
But while we've been on Clubhouse, you brought up Southern Cult. Somebody had nerd talking about we a cult. I was flabbergasted. If I had to find a word to use, because it was funny, because Southern Cult, for those that don't know, Tavis brought it up and reminded me. We was on Clubhouse a while back having a conversation, and other people was in the room because they witnesses to it. That's what I like about Clubhouse. We ain't got to lie about nothing. There's other people that can call you out if you ain't say what you say you're gonna say. But Southern Cult means Mississippi culture, right?
Yeah, well, it means Southern culture, not
Southern
necessarily
culture.
Mississippian culture, but Southern culture. The
From
Mississippians became known as the Southern cult as the colonizers came in.
That's what I mean by that. I'm glad you said that. How you said it from an educational standpoint. I'm gonna take that and run with it.
Okay.
So and also another term that I've come across, being that you just brought that up. We're talking about the Southeast. We're talking about the Mississippian culture. That's why I brought it up that way. You said the Southern cult. People talk about cult, which is culture, and we're talking about people that cultivate something in an area, territorial wise. They govern over. They live off of it. They, celebrate it. In some cases, unfortunately, they worship it, right?
Gold.
And good with the good and the bad of that part. Now,
yes, yes.
Idol worship is nothing I promote on the show, but I get what I mean by that. Like celebrating something is different from worshiping something. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's idol worship is something I don't want to promote. So I want to just put that out there, being that culture don't necessarily mean that you're worshiping something outside of yourself by dealing with something that outside of yourself, resource wise, that you celebrate because it helps you sustain yourself as a people.
Wouldn't it be?
How do you feel about that?
Well, I just I find it interesting enough that they would use that term, and particularly with such a negative connotation that's attached to that term, and so
Right.
it's perfect for them to use it. It's what I expect of them, and it's okay, because I'm gonna show the world what the Southern culture of people that was known as the Mississippian Mound Builders was actually, and what we actually about, and try to begin to reinstitute that that specificity that we declare that we're gonna start being that for real. And so that's kind of like the example I try to push on my children.
I think you did a good job. But now, when you come to this part, I only brought up this other culture because you mentioned it one day. Obviously, I could pull up some stuff, but it's the SECC. That's an acronym that does not. I ain't coined that, by the way, tonight. So don't jump on me. It's the Southeast Ceremonial Complex.
Hmm.
The Southeast. God, can you pull that up? Can we pull up the Southeast Ceremonial Complex for those that don't know about this conversation real quick, so we can get some clarity? Because I like to make sure everybody's on the same page, involved with our conversation. Because some people might be new to it, some might be ahead. However the case may be, but I ain't gonna knock it. I want you all to be balanced with what we talking about. Come in line with what we having a conversation about right now. So the Southeast Ceremonial Complex, SECC, is a term that's also used in sports. You know what I'm saying? In college football for a territory. If you notice that SECC, most people going to automatically correlate it to that territory, Alabama. You know what I mean? The Southeast football teams,
Hmm.
right? I
Hmm.
mean, in the division, right? I
Well,
always go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just what they was known for. They rubber
What was they
balls and
known
ball
for?
playing for. They known for
Oh,
ball playing.
okay. So this is the link right here. It says, as you see, SECC, which would be Southeastern Ceremonial Complex. You know what I mean? Also known as the Southern Cult. You see, it says it right there. The Southeastern Ceremonial Complex, formerly the Southern Cult, is the name given to the regional, and it goes into this. It says the Mississippian culture, ceremonies, artifacts, chiefdoms, Mesoamerica.
Hmm.
So I just want to give a shout out to that. You know what I mean? Because I don't. Some people don't know that territory belongs to some indigenous people that we're connected to.
Yeah, and that's just one of the maps.
One of them. It's layman term conversation for tonight. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna go act like this is not a class. This is just an interview. I mean, because I know in class you go with
Oh, you want me?
detail.
I got a class. You want me to pull up the PowerPoint? I'm just messing with
Oh man,
you.
don't do it. Don't. I mean, shoot, we might have to schedule something soon, but I'm not gonna do it to you tonight. I just
Okay.
literally want to point out certain things in our conversation because you do go over these things.
Hmm.
By the way,
Yeah,
I'm giving you a
definitely.
shout out because you do go over these things. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure people see how you go through these things thoroughly to show the nature and the law and the jurisdiction. Like, you cover a lot of things in the institution, and
Yeah,
I
we
can
have
tell you that. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
no. We have to,
No,
and
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying we have to. It's education. I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job if we wasn't doing the best. Recognizing that, it's time for other teachers and other students that want to be teachers to learn how to teach and come on and start to, offer themselves too. Perspective matters a lot, and you can be a great teacher and a great researcher, and if you miss a perspective, if you're not aware of a certain thing, um, we can still be running around trying to build nations. You know what I mean? And what has that gotten us for the past 100 years? So
So, just to turn up the heat, term black that's being applied to our people that people use in their everyday conversation of uh, self-identify as lawfully. How do you feel about that term? Can I ask you that? Just to turn up a lawful heat question.
yeah, definitely. So uh, what else you gonna get called? What else you want to be called? And you can't make it up. You can't make it up yourself. So what you want to be? White, black, Asian? You can check whatever box you want to. They don't tell you that you can't check whatever box you want to. And so my thing with that is, we still that question is is going to keep you in their system. You know, the question is, what do we call ourselves when they don't have anything to do with it?
So I know you know about the Black Law Dictionary.
Yeah, I got one.
Of course you do. So when it comes to somebody literally in law, though, how you hear a lot of debates in the conscious community, no matter what religion or faith or culture they might come from. It's been one of the heavy things I see people share all the time on social media. So I wanted to ask you, you know what I mean, because you are an institution and you you know what I mean, you educate people on indigenous law. So
Mhm.
this is not something that you teach people to identify with. Am I
No,
wrong?
no, I don't necessarily. No, I don't teach people to identify as black um, or any other thing, right? It's really your choice. What I do is I share with people the opportunities to identify as other terms, and such as, you know, I mean, if you want to stick with inside the United States system, Indian, Native, you know, mulatto, even, Negro, even if that's
Hmm.
if you want to stay with inside of the United States system, and what those terms mean would, would offer you different types of opportunities, depend based upon that status. Um, but again, if you look outside of the United States systems, which is one of the things that our institution tries to show people, there are other identifying terms that we can use to give us opportunities that the United States colonizing system has like bricked off because they control that system, and of course they wouldn't want the people that they enslaved and stole their land to be able to properly identify. And so we're going to give you all these other terms. And then again, um, we're going to define them differently. You know what I mean? And so, and then if you ever go to court, I don't know if anybody ever been to court, but when have you ever heard anybody call anybody black in court? It don't happen. And so again, I feel like that conversation is a conversation that's really keeping us away from the main point of what we need to be doing, and then also recognizing again, like the only time black is brought up in court is when you bring it up, because they don't call you black, they call you African American, and so,
Stop. Please, sir. Please stop for that point. Now, and that's a social construct term,
but they use it in law.
but they use it in law.
Hmm.
Now,
Well, it's
in the
defined in law. It's a social construct, but it was traditionally defined in law through court cases.
right, so in court cases that came up is because these people self-identifying in that manner because of the organizations and institutions at that
Mm,
time that were being used to uplift people that look like us, not
well,
necessarily because they were from Africa.
well, you're talking about the 50s and 60s. You know what I'm saying? But if you
No, I'm
talk,
going back to the 15, 16, 1700s. Like, I
well,
ain't found none of that. None of
yeah,
that.
well, yeah. Again, that's when they were changing the laws. You know what I mean? Again, you know what I mean. We want this land, and so you know what? It ain't no brown skinned Native Americans. They are from Africa, and the again 400 years later, 500 years later, what does that do to the consciousness of the world community, not just to the people whom actually are being misidentified. And so, that's something that as we begin to repair that misunderstanding and step into our proper roles, we have to respect and understand that the whole world is messed up off of this. And don't none of them know for real. Um, and so, we got a big job, a huge job. And again, so, you know, um, going into court and calling yourself a black, it's not really, I'm black man. Like, first of all, you shouldn't be going to court talking. You need to have some representative. But if you, and again, your representative not gonna call you black. He gonna call you as your, social designation or identity. And African Americans do have a place. They do. It is a status, and um, unfortunately, the rights that those people are afforded, which are civil rights, not necessarily human rights or national rights, is a whole issue that, again, these are conversations like we ain't got no real lawyers involved in our community, and the lawyers that are involved in our community have been educated by our colonizers. And so, I'm talking about a concept and stuff that I definitely would like to have bigger conversations with, but we need to expand, and I need more people to come to the stage.
I got you on that. We gonna mad like I'm gonna set that up for you. Remember I told you that.
No doubt.
You ask and you shall receive type thing. I'm gonna give you a stage to
Mm,
have these conversations. I'm letting you know that it's coming. So at the end of the day, uh, when it comes to the understanding though, with the institution, because we definitely both, me and you, if I was where you lived, if you were where I was living at, we both would be called Negroes, right?
mhm.
But the indigenous, the Indian, the American Indian, the Native American, the Aboriginal American, the, what I mean, autochthonous people, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
However, you want to label it, when it comes to law,
Mm,
because of your institution, internationally, you have something you've said. I'm gonna give you a little something. I ain't gonna give all your information, but internationally, the term that you like to subscribe to is because of
Indigenous,
law,
because of law.
indigenous individuals.
Right. As
Am I
an
right?
individual. As an individual. Yes.
As the like indigenous internationally, correct?
Internationally. Right. So
That's
isn't this that's a status that exists?
that's a status that exists. Am I
Mm.
wrong? I want to make sure I put that out there for the people because you know
It's so
I
like
like
what you're telling the people is that, you know, again, you just named five different names that we're calling ourselves: autochthonous, Native American, Black American, people even making stuff up now, right? Negro, mulatto, mestizo, you know, all of these different terms. But again, all of these terms is terms that our colonizers had set. When you step outside of the system and you look at, well, how do other people that are in our situation identify? And I choose. There are more than one. Is tribal and is indigenous. I choose indigenous for practical and for subjective reasons. um,
right.
but again, you're going to be one or the other, and so you identify with the description of each of these groups, and then you know where you fit in, and then you start doing that.
I got you. I think that the way you just set that in because I'm going to tell you as I've told you before I even got on this show. I ain't gonna lie. I say with all the things I know, with all the genealogy and heritage,
Mhm.
I am going to sit on the side of Malcolm, being that my history, my age, my generation, he said after all he went through, all he's seen, one of the main things he made sure known internationally is you were Aboriginal.
Mhm.
And when I looked up the word Aboriginal, God, can we get the word Aboriginal, sir? As an etymology, sir,
Oh, you want
just
the
for people.
etymology of this thing? Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not doing definitions. I like to do root words. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Where the word came from, how it's being used in any kind of context of where we might be on Earth. So we're talking about Aboriginal people from the root of even a foreigner standpoint. He's
Mm.
telling that he's coming in contact with the first nation or first people that he came in contact with when he came to try to conquer or civilize or convert those people. Do you disagree with that from your institution standpoint?
Not at all. That's exactly what they did. That's why
All
they did
right.
it.
So 1660s, first earliest existing from the beginning, especially in reference to inhabitants of lands colonized by Europeans from Aborigines, see Aborigine. The Pacific Australian sense is attested from the 1820s. The noun meaning an original inhabitant and a Tuxeton is attested from 1760s. Then we go down, and that's the adjective. The noun is saying person, animal, or plant that has been in a country or region from the earliest times. Oh, let that marinate real quick. Mistaken singular of Aborigines, and it's tell you time, 1540s. Right? Acting like that's what the indigenous people were speaking. None of these languages, but that's the term that fits us, I feel, in my mind, of being the first original inhabitants of any land, but especially the Americas, because of this political understanding we got to talk to about
Mhm.
Aborigine. Now it says the first ancestors of the Romans. You see how that shit pops up? So it let you know that the ancestors that came before Rome, who were indigenous to that area, are Aborigines. Now, how crazy is that? How you feel about that part of that? No, I'm gonna read it again. The first ancestors of the Romans, possibly a tribe name, or from or made to conform to the Latin phrase ab origine. Now you know where the word origine is original, right? And people like to debate about the word ab meaning from, it's away from. Hey, no, 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 that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. The etymology is going to show you that. It's telling you that. That's not what they're doing. You're not away from nothing. You're coming from this. You know what I'm saying? Do you disagree from your lawful perspective?
Nope, I just add meaning of, and you just put it right there.
I want to make sure the facts are there. And I want you to tell me if you disagree with it. That's all. When it
No.
comes to these type of things in our
Well,
conversation tonight.
um, no, I don't, and I guess I'll make my point at the end.
You got it right now, brother. I'm letting you ride.
Um, Legally, this term that won't be able to be used by any other group except Australia.
I see what you're going. Keep going.
So look for something else. Why bother?
Well,
I mean, it's good to know, but if you're not going to be able to use it, then I mean, outside of the social and educational aspects of what you can learn from this, but within law, if we're talking titles and identifying terms to use to acknowledge who we are and for us to be able to utilize that within law so that we're not just talking anymore. You know what I mean? We're not just speaking to each other about what we need to be doing, but we're actually um, um, involved in the process that has been that has been outlined for indigenous peoples to utilize. And again, I know you threw Aboriginal out there. However, there's only two terms for our people, our indigenous peoples all around the world to use. Again, because of the way that the law is structured and the way that Australia and their indigenous population went through the legal systems, the Aboriginal term is coined specifically in relationship to law to Australia. And
that's some
then
bullshit, by the way.
it is what it is. Law is bullshit,
I
right?
mean, I'm just saying, like, because
I'm just saying from an
I'm not
argumentative
Australian, but
perspective, from an
I get
argumentative
you.
perspective,
I,
and
I'm
so
gonna keep it lawful. I ain't gonna argue much about the law. I get you're right. The lawful people that are actually called Aborigine.
Asking if that term applies in law in Canada.
Exactly. I'll get ready to say that. That's a good question. Because I know I found it, by the way.
mhm,
Aborigine is found in Canada as well. Aboriginal title of land.
that's
Those
local.
people ain't Australian, so
That's
why would they use
local. That's local. Meaning by
local
what I
as
mean
far
by
as
local is that every nation state has a right to identify and coin and declare terms for their people, and
I'm glad you said that.
every group does it. United Nations used Indian and Native American. Canada used Aboriginal. You know, um, Australia used Aboriginal. Um, in Mexico before it was mestizo, and now I don't know what it is
Mestizo.
now. You know what I'm saying? But
Mexico. Wait. Mexico. You said Mexico. You said mestizo.
well, it was a lot of mestizos down there before. You know, what I mean, when the Spanish came down there, that's what the Spanish Indian mix was. That's all I'm saying.
Mix. Mix
Yeah, the indigenous population along with the Spanish
with
was
the
called
mixture.
with the mixture, the children of a Spanish and an Indian or an indigenous person was called a mestizo.
No, I'm glad you pointed that out. In
But that
English,
was
they might say
Spanish though, not
that's
a
the Spanish.
European.
Right, European is gonna say mulatto. Same thing to me.
Remember, Spanish is the European, right?
Right, I'm saying it's the same people. I'm so mestizo, mixed nation, mulatto, mixed nation. I ain't gonna get caught up in black or white. Michael Jackson taught me that. It don't matter if you're black or white. We talk about nations. We ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? We got to really get really understanding the. That's why I also, as I always tell you, I understand lawfully on the show because you educated me on this point. You know what I'm saying? You give you shout outs.
Okay.
You indigenous individual. But then you also just pointed out on the show tonight that you can self-identify social construct
Hmm.
how you want to be,
Yes.
but how you're going to govern yourself in law, dealing with international or local law jurisdiction wise, as an indigenous person,
Yes.
indigenous individual.
Personally,
And
that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
right now, I that right there is no problem because to me it's a synonym.
Hmm.
You, you
Right.
just have to you just have to know how to use your words in court of law or any kind of law. That's how I look at that part. Do you disagree with that, by the way?
Nope. That's 100% correct
All
from my
right.
perspective. Yeah. Just know what you're talking about when you're talking to them.
All right. So I got a link for you.
Mm.
And something else me and you have had a conversation about is the Human Declaration of Indigenous People. Can we get that link?
Mm.
I wanted to just because Obama, you know what I mean, he acknowledged it while he was in, and you obviously are on this show talking about indigenous individuals, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that would kind of correlate to this thing that he connected to dealing with United Nations. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah. 2013, I think he recognized the rights of indigenous peoples.
Oh, wait. Make sure I read it right for that because sometimes, I be talking shit. Go back down, please, Scott. Bring it back up. United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples. You're familiar with this. I know you are.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So,
This is actually, as a matter of fact, this was something that this isn't the first draft. This was the final draft that was approved. And so, yeah, I'm familiar with a few of the other drafts that I actually like better than this one. But again, negotiations are negotiations, and this one was put into law in 2007.
2007.
Yeah, Obama recognized it in 13.
I'm glad you pointed that out. But he did it though. You're telling me that I'm right that he's the person that
Yes,
going to his actually second term
yes,
decided to acknowledge this declaration of
yes.
United Nations. Now, how do you feel about the United Nations, the organization, real quick,
It's a
before I scroll through the site? How do you feel about them as an organization that is dealing with indigenous people around the world? How do you
um,
feel about them?
well, to be honest with you, I'm thankful for the opportunity to link with other indigenous communities from other places around the world, as I am participative to a certain level, and so to be able to utilize the United Nations just for the networking opportunity to connect and learn and share how other indigenous communities are advancing themselves. I'm thankful for that part, and I'm also, aware, and I'm aware of I'm aware of the ramifications or the possible outcome of an organization such as the United Nations not being around, and what would more likely happen with without the space and opportunity for people to sit down and talk to each other along with other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, um, your brothers, you know, they're gonna fight in private, but you know, I mean, in public, they're gonna be a lot more, you know, I mean, cordial with themselves and handle the situation a little bit better. And so, you know, that's kind of the way that I look at the United Nations, recognizing that I can use them to check the United States a lot of times. And so, personally, for me, it's a tool to be used. And if you um, organize yourself, and if we organize ourselves in a proper context and in a proper way, it's not even really about how we feel about them. It's just what can they do for us this time? Because that's really what they meant to do. They just really there for use. You know what I mean? And the only people that feel some kind of way about it is people that don't have access to it. But once we start to gain some access to it and recognize how we can use it to place ourselves in a better situation and a better position, we're going to always have this, you know, back and forth within inside of our community of, you know, not trusting any institution, you know, because of, you know, the historical trauma that had been placed upon us by every other institution before that one, and some of the stuff that they've done to us, recognizing that, well, you know what, unless you're there, unless you're at a table sitting down, unless you can speak up, we deserve to get beat up, right? I mean, you know, man up. It's time for us to man up, put our big boy pants on, and learn how to govern ourselves at a higher degree as far as the rest of the world is concerned.
All right, let's scroll up real quick though. Let's go through a little bit of this. I thought they was the best, most designed. So culturally, I tried to find one that was kind of like nice looking. You know what I mean? Can we enlarge a little bit? All right, cool. Thank you. All right, all right. I stop right there real quick. I'm gonna read that first paragraph. Guided by the purpose and principles of the charter.
Mm.
You see that keyword charter is being used.
Yeah,
United Nations and good faith in the fulfillment of the obligations assumed by the states in accordance with the charter. With the charter. So that
including
means
the United States.
including the United States. So what charter are they talking about, Tabs?
The Charter of
Tabs,
the
what?
United States. I mean, the Charter of the United Nations. Which has anybody actually read the charter? They chart.
Lord.
They have a, you know, they literally have bylaws that they have to abide by. And again, once we begin to start to, you know, recognize and be able to read and recognize the opportunities that we have to hold people accountable to place us in positions, you know what I mean, we start winning.
I like how you broke that down. Now, but you know how charters work because every institution today still will use the same terminology of how you would give out somebody a charter. Like, for instance, you have an institution, and if you
Hmm.
was to give somebody a charter to be able to use your name to go ahead and get out what you have ability to give out, it's the same process, correct?
Well, not in this one here, because, you know, again, the states are, you know, autonomous or sovereign in their own right. And so they're actually offering a piece of themselves to the statements that are listed in the articles or in the charter that the United Nations established.
Oh
You know,
yeah, I wasn't coordinated for that. I understand what you're saying, though. I apologize. I see what you're saying. You're correct. You're correct. I'm sorry.
that's cool. Did I miss your point? Was I was
No, no, no. I was saying in general, just to so we can have clarity for out there, anybody listening. A charter in general, coming from whoever authority, gives the permission from the authority for that charter to be used to represent what entity that is. Do you agree with
yeah,
that part?
yeah, and whatever the mission of that particular entity is supposed to be, and that's they're
Right.
supposed to stay and within inside that mission
And that is
for the
something
United
that
Nations.
United Nations, right?
Yeah, yeah, peace, prosperity, you know, uh, uh, um, what is it called? Resolution, conflict, and wars stuff. You know, those are the kind of things they got listed in their charter.
Okay. So how do you feel about how this relates to the people? in America who mostly don't know that they're indigenous or have their connection to this charter or this United Nations declaration that was made towards indigenous people from your institution standpoint, if you don't mind me asking.
Education is fundamental aspect of, evolving to this next, space that we're going to create for ourselves as a people. So, um, for those individuals that are unaware of this particular list of rights that have been afforded to us, but then there also, I would say that um, along with these particular rights that outline the opportunity for us as indigenous peoples to reorganize ourselves, there are other international documents that indigenous peoples can use to hold the United States accountable to some degrees. And so uh, this is just one of the things that you would want to consider as we develop ourselves, but it's just one thing. It's not the only thing, but it definitely is important because again, from, um, um, we are, we've been given the rights and the laws of the colonial state. And even the laws that are listed aren't necessarily the laws that have been afforded to our people, which is, the issue that most of us have right now. And
Right.
so to be able to go and look beyond the colonial system and find rights and laws that are attributed to individuals that you can identify as, you again, if I'm talking to if I'm talking to most of the black people in America, just because the historical continuity of what happened, that which we outlined through indigenous education, most of us is Indian, indigenous, whatever.
Say it again. Woo.
Well, yeah, again, it's not about, genealogy is one tool to be used. Recognize then that the large majority of our population won't be able to use genealogy to find that indigenous ancestry that would be listed on their rolls. And so, we have to use events and history and statistics to show the omitted aspects of the story of the of America and how it came to be what it is today. And so utilizing laws and history and math and territorial data, we showcase the bond and of the pre-colonial peoples, the mound builders, and eventually where those mound builders wind up, the population of those people winded up at as far as today is concerned, recognizing pandemics don't kill tens of and hundreds of millions of people. So where did all of these people go, and how did history lose them? So that's what indigenous education is built for, so that the larger world population can have an evidentiary based fact of timeline, so that they say, okay, look, this is who we are, point blank, period. Now that we can recognize through history this is who we are, how do we identify on our own without their system? And so, then you start looking at the rights of indigenous peoples and Convention 169 and,
Oh, wait, stop. Convention what?
International Labor Organization Convention 169
Can we get
for
that?
indigenous and tribal peoples.
Do you remember me pulling it up?
Nah,
The source real quick.
it
ILO
ain't my
169.
source.
You're right. It's not your source. ILO 169. So, and I appreciate you because you the one to reveal the source, by the way.
Hmm.
Because so that means a lot. Because you educate people on this source that you obviously people that might not understand, have knowledge about. So, just want to highlight it real quick. And
No
at the
doubt.
same time, in your indigenous law class 101
Introduction.
introduction.
It's not a 101 class.
It's not even a 101. It's
No.
introduction.
Yeah.
It's not even the Lord, listen here. It's a lot to learn, y'all. It's a lot to learn. Pay attention. I want you to understand. You know what I mean? Because I say one on one because I guess maybe in my thought process of understanding these things.
There you go.
But I get I got you.
Yeah, here we go. And now and again, when we looking at these international documents, do you see Aboriginal?
You're correct.
So be careful. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the term that you use does categorize you, period. That's what words are for. And so, you want to make sure that you categorize yourself in the right, in the right file cabinet. You be stuck and you just got to make sure you push yourself right. And so again, it's tribal and indigenous. You know what I mean? And so now, you don't see native, you don't see Indian, you don't see Aboriginal, you don't see autochthonous in any of these international legal documents referring to the historical connection to the lands and what to call these people. And so again, locally, if you live in if you live in Tennessee, Oklahoma, Philadelphia, and y'all calling yourself this, cool. You know what I mean? If you're a teacher, if you're going on platforms educating, if you're thinking that you're an advocate, then it's really important for you to educate yourself on, what that term locks you into. And again, even here, indigenous and tribal, it's a difference between indigenous and tribal. So you really have to understand the difference and then be able to know what belongs to you and how to be able to move through this situation. They're not going to tell you. Again, it says indigenous and tribal. They're two different people, and the rights that are ascribed to the two sets of people are different, but they group them in the same document. And so you really got to know what you're talking about before you start using this stuff. But once you do, and once we can start using it correctly, the floodgates open, and we can do whatever we need to reorganize and reinstitute ourselves.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I guess because I understand how we might be able to move and reinstitute ourselves. I'm moving ahead of myself. Sometimes I gotta catch myself. Excuse me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like the word African American.
Okay.
I see there's an issue with our people that have multiple tribal backgrounds in their genealogies,
Mm-hmm.
along with some foreign, European mainly,
Mm-hmm.
Scottish, Irish, some Sephardic, right?
Mm-hmm. Me.
And I'm not knocking nobody that has West African too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In some cases.
Yep.
But that's the most we are finding in genealogy. It's more from a European, like how the definition of the word American means, and a American Indian. And I guess as you said, internationally, how lawfully it works. It's interesting that, just based off the word American, it definitely says Aboriginal in the term to describe a First Nation people who are indigenous that mixed with a European group of people to today our surnames identify with.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find that interesting. You know what I'm saying? So lawfully, I agree with everything you just said. Culturally and socially, I have an idea of what you know what I mean? And I know that, it's like me talking to my lawyer. You my lawyer right now. I'm like, look, when I walk in there, I'm not gonna say this.
Right. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Again, what we do amongst each other, that's fine. I mean, it's beautiful. As a matter of fact, that's what we should do. As long as we recognize that in the public, what I mean, when we're dealing with them, certain terms, certain things, and that's why that's why we send our kids to school to become lawyers and stuff like that, so that they know how to do it. Other people go to school to be plumbers and carpenters because we need them to know how to build. Other people go for, what I mean. So it take the whole, but we have to, understand that we have to develop that amongst our children, right? And then be able to trust them when they go out and do that work on our behalf.
You said trust. That word trust is a oh.
Well, I said our children. I did say our
I
children.
get it though. You're right. We gotta trust our children, but how do you look at that from a trust standpoint economically? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
how we really are correlating this trust situation in law. You know what I'm saying? Because in law, we are dealing with
Watch this. Who law?
theirs.
Um, I don't really play with they law, so it's not
I
a
know,
matter
but
for
I
me.
want people to know that ask them questions because they asking them questions.
Uh,
Hey, everybody ain't on different levels, so I got to
mhm.
give it to you in that manner. I can't give it to you where you at. I got to give it to those who's trying to get to where you at. You know what I'm saying? In the conversation, you know what I mean? I get it, but you just said it's correct. And that's not something to be concerned with you, by
Yeah,
the
I
way.
mean, but yeah, but law, right? Is law, and so you definitely have to acknowledge the jurisdiction that's allowing you to even bring this issue up and argue the case. And so you need to learn how to navigate that particular law that you are dealing with. There's a branch of law called indigenous law that
Mm.
we as a collective people are not aware of for the most part. I am. And through our lessons, we introduce that concept to other people, to the public, anybody that's interested in coming. And so, once you are introduced to this new field of information, right? Now it's about studying that and applying the appropriate studies, so that they can have some kind of influence on our people. And again, for me, um, I can't really talk too much about United States law. I am an attorney, but and I do have the ability to go into their systems, but I'm not a bar attorney. I'm not registered underneath their corporate entities. I've been, and so while I am able,
Wait. I'm sorry, lawyer. Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
Apologize. I ain't gonna lie.
my
You
bad. I
just
might
said
be moving
something.
too fast. My bad.
No, sir.
Mhm,
No, sir. You are our attorney in law, as you just stated,
mhm.
and you're not underneath their system.
Right. Yeah.
So, what
And so,
system are you lawfully presenting, sir? If you don't
uh,
mind, since you brought that up. So confusion in our conversation that you brought up this part.
yeah,
If you
no
don't
doubt.
mind.
Well, I know you ain't bring it up, but I am a chief, right? I'm the next
Yes,
chief.
sir.
I'm the next chief of our nation state, as been outlined by my elders, right, and the tribal elders and the chief. And so that jurisdiction that is being established, Indigenous and Native American Association of Nations, the institution that is going to operate, and so I operate underneath that jurisdiction. And then when I am in court, then it ain't no most time, every time, right? If I'm in court
Every time.
every time, I'm representing someone that's indigenous and that's a member of that
Jurisdiction.
that we established. And so
Okay.
so when I go into court, I'm coming into court as a individual representing a foreign jurisdiction, speaking with respects to a dual citizen. And so, what are the laws, and how are we going to deal with the matter? We're not going to deal with it in the same way with your code system. This is a different code system that we now have to discuss and talk about.
Well, I'm gonna have to bring you back on a part two for this conversation, but I want to thank you for introducing that to the people publicly because that was your decision. Shout out to you for saying that. I
Yeah,
mean,
gotta open up a little bit,
no,
right?
yeah, you were home. You opened up things like you know what I mean, private and public conversations. But I'm gonna say this to you. I appreciate you saying it the real way it's supposed to be said. I can't front. That's a beautiful thing that you that open to say it. Cause see, I want to say, yeah, what he just said, what he just said, that part. I mean, like that's a beautiful thing. I'm not mad at that, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. And I can socially, as you just told me, on live, say this is how I like to call myself socially, but I know lawfully what jurisdiction as an indigenous individual I'm in. You know what I'm saying? And I
Hmm.
think that the way you just broke it down tonight in our conversation and what you've done for you and your family, and I want to shout out to your family again for what you guys have been doing to educate others that might want to learn how to move, who are connected to this indigenous individual because of their genealogy. First
Hmm.
off,
Hmm.
not because of some fraudulent scam. You just want to all want to. No. Do you really have connection to the land pre-colonial? How do you feel about that, real quick? Because I got a couple questions before I let you leave me tonight. If you don't mind, I'll ask you that question quick.
Is it that a personal question? Like, do I have personal connection to this land
No, sir. No,
in
sir. That's
general?
not
Uh,
yet. I'm going there next. That
uh,
actually was my next question, but you beat me to the question. But I want you to ask the question about how you feel about people who are describing themselves as indigenous individuals who have not done their genealogy. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear that part. No,
subject.
like to know that you're connected
Yeah, that's
to the
subject.
Americas.
You know what I mean? It's again, subjective means emotional based, right? And
Correct.
people want to be attached to something, and so they will declare without doing the proper research. And you know what I mean? And at least to be able to be like, well, at least is a dead end, right? And then
Right.
let's use the books and let's use the information that Indigenous education has shared with us to see if, the if my personal history fits in line with the evidence that they outlined that 90%, 95% of us is this anyway. However, you know, I would say that people can call themselves whatever they want to. However, for us, I mean, and then particularly individuals such as myself, um, who have a platform or who is so-called, educating or sharing information, is really important for us, for the people,
Right.
to check them and make sure, because again, you can't be indigenous if you're from Africa. You can't be indigenous if you're from Canada, right? And so, we have to. You can't be indigenous if you are from um, southeastern portion of the United States and you move to Kenya for 40 years or 30 years or 20 years, and then you come back and now you're saying you chief. That
All
that
right.
that
So
that can't happen. That's against the law.
All right, so now my next question, I gotta move along, be at time, right? And I gonna lie, I got like about 18, 20 minutes left on me. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I want to make sure I start hitting some questions real quick down the line because I want to make sure people got to know you. And I hope people got a good feel. And they can obviously, again, tap into you. You want to give people their contact information in a minute. I want you to give them how they can get in contact with you, ask any questions, being that you're live. And you put yourself out there to say these things live. So
Hmm.
I want anybody that could, and then obviously they can contact me because I obviously can contact you, but I don't ever hide the source. You see what I'm saying? I ain't that kind of person. But at the time of us dealing with what we're dealing with, how do you look at the people who came to the Americas and mixed in with the indigenous people who
There's a
are
whole
called Moors? I'm
out
gonna
of
be
order.
specific.
Okay.
I want to, because no, I had certain questions, so I'm
Hmm.
trying to line it up so I can answer them in a way when I ask my questions. Because I'm trying to combine a couple questions all in one.
Okay.
How do you look at the people who were dark skinned, who are being described as Moors, Moriscos,
Hmm.
Moranos, Sephardic, Huguenots? How do you look at these group of Turks? Go ahead,
Right.
brother. Go ahead. I want to hear your perspective on that.
So this is a family thing, right? And so I know my brother don't mind Well, actually, not my brother, my cousin. This is just say what's up. This is
Peace.
Chaz. This Chaz Mormon Brown. My
Word. It's a surname.
Chaz Mormon Brown.
Chaz
That's
Mormon Brown. That's
I holler at you.
damn. Dog,
I'm
you put
explaining
your.
to them.
Hey, he just put his goddamn governor on there. I gotta suspect that. Goddamn, go ahead. Keep going. So
We are who we are, right?
yeah,
You know,
real talk.
so Chaz Moorman Brown, right? this family, and it's a name that's been passed down in the men of my family for hundreds of years, right? Everybody that came here, because again, we got to remember, up until late 1700s, they wasn't shipping women here. They wasn't
Facts.
shipping. Matter of fact, one of the issues that we had was like, yo, why they travel without they women? What's wrong with them? You know what I'm saying? So, and so my point is that if you go somewhere and you make babies, those babies are what that place is. And
So,
so,
wait. I had to stop you. I'm sorry. This is for the woman. This is for the woman. Because, see, this patriarchal system that we in and the indigenous system's not the same. Would you agree?
100% agree.
All
Right.
right. So, when these foreign men,
No matter what they was called,
whatever they was called,
no matter
had a
what,
child with the women of the land,
that
that
child is
child
of that land,
is of
of
that land.
that
That's
land.
lawful. That's lawful, right?
Yes.
That's lawful.
Yes, that's lawful. Oh, that's also lawful. Yes, not is that just real, but it's also one of those
Just
things.
Soleil
Yep.
of the land,
Hmm.
right? Of the
Hmm.
soil,
Hmm.
cut from the soil, right?
Yeah,
They're talking.
and so again, recognizing that women weren't traveling, you know what I mean, and so the conversation really needs to, the patriarchal colonizing perspective that our men have, you know what I mean, and the superiority complex with respects to, the function of what men are with relationship to history without the, acknowledgement of, the woman and, the necessity for her existence, or there is no more us in one generation. You know what I
Right.
mean? We can't make babies with us. So, um, that this, so I would say to any particular group that are promoting their particular ideology with respects to, terms and their particular connection to this land and or rulership or whatever the case is, right? Um, the issue is that where y'all women was at. And
Where are
so
they at?
unless you can prove to me that you was bringing women here, and these women are the women that was bearing these children all the way up until now, then you need to again re-educate yourself about the larger perspective of how the systems work, and recognize that the colonial system that we've been placed in wants us to think like this because it limits us to only dealing with what they've educated us about, and it doesn't allow us to expand that perspective.
I want to make sure I say this real quick before I go back to your homie, your family member that came on the screen just now with the Mormon part, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go into that real quick and ask a quick question. But I don't want to because when you just drop, I want to make sure I put this out there. Like literally, when it comes from the matriarchal standpoint, and a man that's patriarchal come from another place,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
surname and sometimes the religion
Hmm.
sticks, right?
Right,
You get
Mormon
where I'm going?
stuck with us,
Like,
right?
say it again. You feel me? Like you get where I'm going, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But what ties you to the soil is the woman that they were, like you
The
said, because
mitochondrial DNA that the men
right,
can't
because
pass through, that only women pass.
only God. How you feel about that? You feel that? You agree on that, right? I know my team on the side. I agree with you, brother. We agree on that side. So, if a man, in the most cases, because how you just broke it down, these men weren't coming with their families. They
Hmm.
weren't coming with, like, they had to come and do something with somebody.
Right,
That's common sense. So, the connection automatically made them connected to the land, to the tribe, to
right.
a nation, to an empire,
To a chiefdom.
to a chiefdom. I like how you said that too. Another word we could use. I'm glad you, yeah, open up the paradigm. Either way, all of those cases of terms that we could use of indigenous people in the Americas that these people connect to by having a child with a woman that's connected to that land and those people in that territory, culture, etc., etc.
Right.
Through matriarchal, the women tie you to that nation of people, and usually you're raised by them, right? By the
Yep.
women in our culture.
Well, until you're 13. As a matter of fact, I got 13-year-old on the couch with me right now because his mom was like, "You in Philly? Good, here you can have him." And so
Oh,
we
so
still
that's
doing
how it
that
works.
today.
No, that's how it works. Shout out to your 13-year-old coming of age. You hear me? Um, Shout out to him. I mean, at the same time, when we look at this, crazy part is we just passed Thanksgiving. I ain't get to really shout that out because of
Mm,
how the week fell from last week to this week. And I'm gonna give a shout out real quick while I got you on. I had Lee Cummins on last week Sunday on our podcast. You know what I'm
yeah, I
saying?
watched. Yeah,
And you watched it?
yeah, I did.
Thank you, by the way.
Mhm.
How'd you think about it? What you think?
It's
What you
good,
think?
man. Publisher, man, he putting that work in. You know what I'm saying? And so we can't say nothing about somebody that's offering people facts, that's doing his own writing. He's autonomous with what he offering to the people.
I agree with you on that. That's why I brought him on the show because when somebody moves in that manner and he's being genuine about it, I had a conversation with him obviously, and I felt like he was genuine about what he was going in on, and I think he had something to offer to the people, and that's what we try to do with anybody we bring on our podcast. By the way, we ain't really with all the duck goose shit. You know what I mean? We really try to do with the real. You know what I'm saying? Off top because we don't got time for that anyways. At the end of the day, um, strictly in conversation. Why waste time? The thing that he brought up last week in our conversation that led me to you, and I thought about this thing because shout out to God the Green Super Blaze and how we program this podcast and how we interviews and everything line up. You know what I mean? And I would loving this lineup. I'm like, I'm going from the dude Lee Cummins talking about the Jacobites and the Hebrews and the Black Europeans, the 13 colonies. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna walk right after him into the indigenous institution. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted that to be highlighted. You know what I'm saying tonight? You know what I mean? Because of the fact that in our conversation tonight, things can really correlate genealogy wise. As you just brought up the brother that was just on the screen, the Mormon part, right? That
Mm.
is foreign, as you just said too. Foreign people mixing in with indigenous people of the land, and women is obviously the connection.
Right.
Can you expound on that a little bit, if you don't mind, before I ask my next question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna go with it from a human reflective socialization perspective. You know what I mean? And I know we talked about it before, earlier in the show with, this necessity for idol worshiping or fan base, acknowledgement, and this individual world that we live in where the individual matters more than the collective group. And that's
Yeah,
what this patriarchal system has brought into our, into our process of living, not just thinking, but this how we produce, this how we conduct our life. And so I'm going to say, that what we need to do is, recognize indigenous principles of oneness, and as far as intellectuals are concerned, they're organizing and they're grouping this new concept of connectivity into this thing called reflective human socialization. And so, again, with that and recognizing the matriarchal societies and the need for the women to be a byproduct, no matter of fact, the need for them to be the product, and for the men to now become the byproduct of the choices and decisions and um, the 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 accomplishments that we start to take part in as we move forward, will begin to offset that egotistical individual, I am man, I am the only one, I am great, and if it wasn't through me and mine, then it wasn't nothing. It's that kind of mindset that permeates our community, even within the women, to be honest with you, and from that very, very aggressive, very patriarchal position and stance with respects to sharing information, with respects to how we learning about history, even with respects to how we do our genealogy. And so I'm going to just say that, These are old ways of colonizing thought processes that are diminishing. And, as long as individuals such as you and I, and definitely I know that both of us, have women that are connected to our platforms that dominate the decision making processes. Although you see although you see two men talking to you right now, I'm going to acknowledge that.
No, tell the truth. Goddamn.
And so it's about, as long as we keep doing that and then acknowledging that, look, man, there's women behind us making us be greater and be better men and offer this space to y'all. And so, again, I'm saying, look, those things didn't work. These are the things that have worked that we have ignored. The women. Let's do that some more, and then let's see what we get.
I respect that. And I want to tell you that I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. I ain't here without these women, by the
Mm-mm,
way. You know what I'm
mm-mm.
saying? And I can, shout out to all the women because I don't want to miss none of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Daughters,
That's how serious it
aunties,
be.
you know what I'm
Like,
saying?
yeah, listen here. But
I'm
at
a
the same
grandpa.
time,
You know what I mean?
you know, listen, man, yeah. At 44 years old, my dude, you's a grandpa. I ain't
Woo.
there yet. See, I'm hoping I don't hit there until 50 or close to 50. I'm trying to get a little time in between. You heard me, God? Yeah, I need some time in between. You feel me? I'm asking just for a little gap between my daughter and her deciding to bless me with some grandchildren so I can take some vacations or some shit. I don't know. Besides that, though, I ain't being selfish to say what we needed. You know what I mean?
I asked.
And it's it.
I
Go
asked.
ahead.
I asked too.
I said, look, can you chill for a minute? Don't
She
take
said, "Yeah,
off on
Dad."
me.
She said, "Sure, Dad." And yeah, I said, "Okay."
Like, yeah,
And
graduate college and get
grand,
yourself right. Don't
I ain't
jump
waiting
on
for
me
you
right away,
to say
please. Now look, it happens, and I know it happens because I got
it.
plenty of family members in my case too. Shit, who am I talk shit? Ain't a guy. How the fuck am I? Right? No, excuse me. Any family members that listen, I
Well, you
cuss.
know
I'm
what? If I
sorry.
may, to be frank with you, I mean, it's a conversation that I had with my daughter. 18 to 22. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking it might even be 16. 16 to 22 is the best time for a woman to have a child. And if you look at the historical relationship of women in the community, and particularly in the southeastern portions of the United States, the women, um, you know, the women would be, if a woman got pregnant at that age and she wanted to keep the child, it was okay. And if she didn't want to keep the child, but she still wanted to have the baby, it was okay. Why? The child became the village child. Yeah, you know who your mom is, but individuals such as you and I that have higher responsibility would take that child in and hold that weight for the mother as a young mom. Why? Because if she decides to wait until she's 36, 37, she's a more healthier human being. And so women are actually they're actually built to have their first child between 16 and 22. And the later they wait, the more damage that could possibly happen if they decide to wait to have their first child. However, if they have their first child, even if they wait until they're 37, they like 90% less likely to have those complications that our women are having that are waiting. And so, again, this is a conversation that I had with my daughter, recognizing that, we here now, and, while socially it may not be necessary and it may not be prudent for us as a community,
Right,
physically speaking, and as far as the human system is concerned, as far as the physical woman body is concerned, it's
right.
the best thing for her. And so what we need to do is we need to recognize that and then repair our culture and our community so that we can care for our women, recognizing that, yo, most of y'all need to be having at least one of y'all children young, because if y'all don't, y'all wait until y'all 30, 35, 40 to be having y'all kids, and then y'all dying on the table. And that's part of the problem. And so it's so much for us to consider. And again, when we recognize our colonizers taught us, and then they misused and abused, You know what I mean? They took something like Thanksgiving, which was a harvest time, which we would always share food with our local neighbors, and turned it into a massacre. And now black people don't even want to celebrate Thanksgiving. But it's something that our ancestors have
Wale,
been doing for thousands of years.
matter of fact, I'm glad you said that. Can I get the Hanukkah? Yeah, Hanukkah. I want Hanukkah.
You send it's not something you send.
I ain't seen the Hanukkah. Yahuda. I apologize. Yahuda tonight, y'all. You know what I mean? Because it is Thanksgiving. But in Hebrew, the word for Thanksgiving is Yahuda. Or some people might say Judah. I know some of y'all might say it's a person, but in a language, if I was speaking a language, I could say Judah to you. And that means Thanksgiving. Giving thanks, praise.
Mm.
That's the etymology of the word Judah, Yahuda,
Well,
whatever you want to get it called.
wait a second. If that's never mind, never mind.
I'm just saying.
You
I'm
teaching
just
me
saying.
something now, and I got questions, but we're gonna have that conversation another
Yeah,
time.
we gonna do this another time. But it's Thanksgiving weekend, right? We're about to go back into the music in a few minutes. Before I have one more question for you, dealing with heritage. Before I leave you tonight,
Okay.
I'm taking it to the wire. I ain't gonna lie. Sorry, Blaze. I'm taking it to the wire. I ain't gonna lie. I'm taking it to the wire. God damn it. I gotta get mine in. You know what I mean? But you brought that part up. So I had this plan, but because our conversation went a little bit longer than I planned,
Mhm.
and I'm glad it did, I can kind of show this source because it's dealing with, this past Thursday. We on a Sunday. I know it's the first day of this week, but we still want to talk about the past weekend where everybody got to spend their time with their family. You know what I mean? And give thanks for the time in this day and time commercially for being able to gather around your family. You know what I mean? That's a giving thanks thing to do. You know what I mean? Because of how they keep us separated with all the world we're into now today. So the fact that this word, when most people might not know it, and I like to say Aramaic. I know others might say, you see, it says script ancient Hebrew. I like to say ancient Hebrew is Aramaic. Some people might disagree with that, but I'm not going. I'm not going to get caught up in all that right now. I'm just going to go from the Hebrew name Yahuda. That's what it says on this thing right here. Probably derived from Yada, meaning praise in the Old Testament, Judah. In the fourth or 12th, excuse me, Old Testament Judah is the fourth of the 12 sons of Jacob, Leah, and the ancestors of the tribe of Judah. Now, I want you to know, funny thing is about, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's on the screen, right? It's on the screen for you to read for yourself. But the thing that I do know, and you can research it yourself, Yahuda etymology, it's going to tell you Thanksgiving, praise. If you didn't know it, it might be a trivia question in the future. You might get a little cash app out of that when we do it. So remember, it might be a trivia thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting it out in our conversation tonight because he brought it up, and it happened to be something we knew about to say it's just a weekend. But Maccabee, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my sister, and she used to call me Maccabee growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And this Maccabee led me to always research the Maccabees. You know what I'm saying? The book of Maccabees. I've read that book when I was young. And as it says here in this same script, and it's funny enough that the word Judah or Yahuda, also Yahuda ha Maccabee, is literally connected to Thanksgiving because November 25th, which is in Hebrew, they would say Kislev, Kislev, 8 day ceremony, 8 days of them giving what they call also the festival of lights, the time of the lighting of the menorah, the
Mm.
8 day ceremony. It going from November into December. It's about 8 days they do it. But at the same time, they're giving thanks because of this person who they're calling Judah, or like, and again, some people don't like to use the J's, Yahuda, which means praise or thanksgiving, but shows the connection to his surname, Maccabee.
Hmm.
You can do your own research because we got time for that tonight. On this time frame, and from so we're in that time frame right now. Am I lying? Like
Mhm.
November 25th till
Mhm.
the 3rd of December
That's
is about 8 days. I'm gonna give or take because I don't act like I'm into it all the time, but I want to just acknowledge that because I'm gonna give thanks for everybody that's been dealing with their families and got to see their families. You didn't get to see your families. If you're just healthy and you were able to sit around your closest familiar people, because the word family means familiar. And I mean, it might not mean blood relatives because family don't necessarily
Mhm.
mean that. But you give thanks for being around the people that you're most familiar with and that they're all healthy and especially in the times that we're in. And I want to give a shout out to you and your family. And I give thanks for you and your family. You know what I mean? Yahuda. I'm going to say it like that to you. Yahuda.
Thank you,
Talk that
thank you.
shit.
Yeah, we call it
Yahuda.
Family Day, and so thank you.
Family day.
Definitely.
Keep it simple. Now,
Mhm.
I'm gonna slide over real quick because I gotta go. I'm gonna be cheating tonight. I'm gonna get a little extra time. I know that. So when it comes to your family
Mhm.
heritage, the Wale,
Mhm.
before you leave me tonight, the
Okay.
Wale,
Yes.
yes sir.
Yeah. The
Now
Wale.
me and you talk. I pulled up some shit. I'm gonna need a part two, so I'm gonna
Okay.
ask you tonight ahead of time. That can I get a part two? By the
Yeah,
way.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
For sure.
I'm doing this live because we're gonna do this soon. You know what I mean,
Okay.
'cause I got something we gonna, you already know what we're doing, but this is from what's the site? What's the site, God? So
Yeah.
people
What's
know the
this?
source.
Access
You see, you
theology.
see, you
Okay.
see the source.
Mhm.
All right, scroll down. Excuse me, sir. Thank you, God. Yahuda, give thanks. The Indian name by which the Spaniards knew the present Amelia Island, north coast of Florida, and part of adjacent Florida and Georgia coast in the 16th century. There's a strong probability that the tribe occupancy was that known later as Yamasi.
Mhm.
You see at the top though it says Wale. I know some people gonna say Gule, right?
Right.
Wale, Wale,
Mhm.
Gule. However, I'm letting you know,
Guali.
however you
Sometimes.
pronounce it, it's
Yeah.
Wale, right?
Sometimes Guali. Sometimes you hear Guali too. Yeah.
Guale, yeah, right. All the derivatives, how people pronounce it. But you
Yes.
see the, and I can see why the confusion can come about. It starts with a G,
Mhm.
but to me, how you pronounce it's like with a W. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The original language, you would have pronounced it as a W. As a matter of fact, in the very first maps, it's spelled Wuale. And so,
Okay. Now, I'm glad you corrected that too, bro. Thank you. But it says Yamashi. It says
yes.
in 1597, the son of the chief of the Wale led a revolt against the mission that had been established by the Spanish Franciscans a few years before. There were then on the island at least three missions of villages. It shows the names:
Mhm.
Asol, Asapo, Asapo.
Mhm.
The missions were reestablished in the 1605s and may have continued until the destruction by the English and Indian allies in 1704 through 1706. So I asked, I want to just, just I'm highlighting. Can you scroll up? God, I'm highlighting some things. I can't read through the whole site. I'm not gonna do that. I ain't got time for that. You know what I mean? This is a show, but I'm gonna bring you back for this conversation. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
now that we've had this conversation, and I appreciate you giving clarity on NDU, the institution.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna go into your family and heritage and culture and things. That's why I ain't even getting caught up in the.
Well, that's just to make sure that you understand, Diwali, that was a chiefdom.
You see how it's
So
spelled?
yeah.
Wait, it's right there. See, you're right. That's how I know you on point. It goes in even more particular on this link. It's still access. God. All right, same link.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was just
Meaning,
saying that. No, go ahead. My bad.
no, real quick. It says Wale, but it's spelled Guale, tribe, meaning unknown. I know, though it resembles Muskogee, Muskegee, however you might like to say it. Wale. You see how you just said it earlier? You said it's spelled originally Wahali with the Ali. Like you got the ALI on there. You know what I mean? From the Arabic standpoint, that means the most highly exalted source. But from this standpoint, so people get caught up in their homophones. I know a lot of people do this in this day and time with their homophones. I still like the fact that I know what Ali means from both perspectives. You know what I mean? But this Wa Ali is a Muskogee Hittite term. So the South, the Southern Colt, we brought that up earlier, right?
Yes.
Do you disagree with this right here?
No, I was just going to say that the Wali was a chiefdom, right?
Yes.
And so it was a small family, but it was also a larger chiefdom. And I guess we can talk about that too, because I mean, on the East Coast, there was only 3 chiefdoms, and so the dismantling of those chiefdoms, and then now all you have these most it ain't no East Coast Indians, right? And then the ones that you do have were the ones that they created, Cherokee Creek, recognizing that there were no R's in the original names of any of these um, indigenous peoples. If it's an R in the name, they made it up. That's for certain. And so, when you say, okay, what is a chieftain? Chieftain was like a government, and then you had all of these various smaller groups or tribes in the larger government. And so, when you hear stuff like the Powhatan or you hear the Wali, that wasn't a family or a small group of 30 Indians. That was maybe 10,000 people.
What? Say it again.
Maybe 10,000 people.
Okay. Now,
And so
now, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and I was just gonna say, and so that the fact that we don't use the fact that we think that Powhatan mean that there was a small clan group, and actually Powhatan was like Maryland, North Virginia, West Virginia, parts of Delaware, and all of those people that resided in those areas. Again, it's like this miseducation that we have to correct so that we can understand how we were actually moving, and why these terms like the Wali and the Powhatan are important. But then again, it said that the Yamasee was later became a part of that. Again, the Wali was the chiefdom, and we was the group that was in charge of the government. The Yamasee was a group that came in and settled in with us as a part of the war that was an ongoing war to be honest with you, from the 1500s that the Wali was having with the Spaniards. And some of that was like a misnomer. The missions never was able to settle on Wali lands for an extended period of time. So it's a large history that needs to be reinstituted too.
Nah, bro. What you just said is bomb, by the way. What do you think, God? See, I think that I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this conversation. So check this out. I'm gonna cheat. It's part 2 coming for this conversation, but because genealogy wise, what you just said is very factual. I hear a lot of pseudo shit. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna say that. I hear a lot of pseudo shit. No, we keep it real. I do. And I don't like knock people because I know they're learning. And I don't try to knock nobody for learning what they're learning. But it's like this, we're giving you source to go to right now. That's why I put the source there. You feel me? So to back up what you're saying. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're just talking something. You know what I mean? Because they have it. They know our history. These people know our shit, but we don't know our shit. Excuse my French, y'all. But that's the real. You know what I'm saying? Tonight. That's the problem. And as
you see all of
just
these
said,
groups, right? You see all of these groups,
right. All everything you do, that's what I'm trying to say, is backing up what you said. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not. The source is there. You said it. You didn't even know we was gonna bring this up. You know what I mean? Feel me?
Yeah, but I'm seeing, again, all of these are, the Altamaha, all of this, yeah.
Altamaha, yes.
These are folk, you know what I'm saying?
The Akut, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, all
all
these
that.
people,
Mhm.
Yamasi,
Mm-hmm.
Mother Tribe,
They weren't the mother
Wali.
tribe. That's a historical misnomer. The Wali
Say it again.
was they weren't the mother tribe. How could they be the mother tribe if everybody knows that they came there because of the issue that they had with the colonizing? They moved, part of history says the Yamasee came in the 1700s and joined into the war, which they called the Yamasee War. Um, when they see what happens is when they replace Wali with Yamasee, then you erase the 300-year war that the Wali were having before the Yamasee got there, and
Put it
now
down.
the Yamasee is this. You have this indigenous group, but that wasn't necessarily from that particular region, come in, and now the history of the indigenous populations stops when they arrive there. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
all.
And so now, we have now our people, because again, I know the Yamasee. Y'all see, I'm blood related to this. You know what I mean? And we could talk about that, and next show, as far as
Yes.
all of that is
I'm bringing you
concerned.
back. Oh yes,
Um,
sir.
but it's different when it's you. You know what I mean? It's different when it's your blood and it's your people that we talking about. And so, acknowledging that the Yamasee name has been soiled and run amok by a lot of different individuals that don't even have any connection to South Carolina, yet alone to be able to hold that kind of title. I still cannot allow that name not resonate. And so what I'm doing is I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna stay true to, my Yamasee descent, but also, acknowledging we Wali and the Yamasee were a part of us along with a whole bunch of other people, and our responsibility is to reestablish that space so that we can stand up again. But also, as a part of being able to do that, we have to correct these issues that we're having with people being representative of this thing we call an indigenous ideology and
Space.
system. But
Right.
we gotta start holding all of us up to weight. And so that's why, you see me and my family, we put our government out there. We don't care. Hold us accountable, check us, verify us. Not just our genealogy, but also the institutions and the works that we putting in. And then individuals such as yourself and others that's not afraid to put their face, their names, and their family out there, because you know those are ones that we need to be paying attention to. You running around with other things, and you're not talking about your children, your mother, your family line. Showing everybody the environment you come from, the region you come from, and what you're doing in that region to make it better. That's indigenous. If that's everything else is just subjective, hot air. I'm trying to look better. I'm trying to be better, or I'm trying to be the one. Individual concepts that what I mean, we have that our colonizer pushed into us when it's really supposed to be about us. What I mean, I'm telling y'all children should be, our daughters need to be having children between the ages of 18 and 22. I'm a father. I got daughters. What I mean,
Shit
that
deep.
makes me responsible for them to a higher degree, because now I got to make sure
Right.
that them children are okay, and understanding what that's going to do to her, and putting her in the behind the eight ball, with as far as the system is concerned, but recognizing as far as your health, as far as our generational transfer and ability to have children and to grow, that's more important. And so, it's we ready to really step up. I mean, that's
I,
really what I got
I
to say.
see that, and that's why I'm gonna bring you back actually in December. I'm gonna try to get another date out of you before the year's over, because there's more things that I want to touch on. That's why our conversation can't be just one of them. And I got other people that I give shout out to them too that I want to bring back on. But because of the things that I did not touch on tonight, is and I ain't touch on some things. You know what I'm saying? That I still want to people to know. You know what I'm saying? In my conversations with you, because I've had conversations with you. You know what I mean? Red Tail. You know what I mean? Hawk, Tavis
Thank
Sanders.
you. Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, we got a lot to do. We didn't share the song. We got to,
No, no.
that,
I'm
that
about to bring
history.
the song up. Wait. No, I'm doing the song tonight. It's not for what?
Not
We
on.
trying to play the song right now. We trying to get the song up.
Oh man.
Is it?
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we working that out right now. Actually, we're gonna find out if it's gonna work right now. We're gonna try to see what's up before we leave here tonight. If we can get that joint, you know what I mean? The song of what's the name of the song?
Soul of
What's
a
the name of the
Warrior.
song? Soul of a Warrior.
Yeah.
Is it your song? Whose song is it? Because you sent it
So
to us.
yeah, my brother, he he's in the industry. They call him Sly Piper. Matter of
Okay.
fact, he was on BET Awards. He's the one that did the gospel album with Snoop. And so,
Okay.
I mean, if you saw the brown skinned brother on stage with the Thunderbird tattoo on his face, you know what I'm saying?
That's surely your family members.
Yeah, it was that was a couple that was when Snoop did a couple years ago, but nonetheless, he put that track together for us, for my father, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also, I don't know if you noticed, but the Frazier family is from Barnwell, South Carolina, and if
Wait,
the Frazier family.
how you spell it?
Frazier, Fraizer,
Allah.
Like Joe Frazier, the
Yeah.
boxer. Yeah,
No. I just want to
they
make
from
sure.
there.
I just
Yeah,
want to make sure we was on the same page. That's all.
yeah. And so, and I'm really
Ooh.
cool with the family. You know what I mean? And so, family gave us permission to use Joe Frazier as again, they Yamasee, right? And they
Oh,
Walees,
Wale.
Wale. Yeah. So,
In
they,
Allensdale,
yeah,
South Carolina.
yeah, Allendale,
Wale,
South Carolina. That's what we.
right?
Yeah.
Wale, the
Yeah.
war, the
Hmm. Hmm.
Sakahachi war, right? That's
All the
I
way
had to
up to the
practice that.
Yazoo land scandal. You know what I'm
I had to
saying?
practice that. I had to remember this word. I was messing it up all this time. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I say it right live. Nigga, it's the
Hmm.
Sakahachi war that took place with the Yuchi, the
Hmm.
Yamasi, the Wale, the some people say Geechee, you know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
Gullah, you know what
The
I mean?
color, right?
However, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? These groups of people who are all, and it's other names as well. You know what I'm saying? As you said, again, it's funny
Orisha.
on right. Now,
Hmm.
another thing is, the funny thing is, before I leave you tonight, Muskogee, right? This
Hmm.
Muskogee term is said as stock. They're using this term Muskogee as a stock, dealing with relationship to the Wale people, right? So this Muskogee stock,
That's a
I'm looking
language.
it up. It's a language.
It's not a group. It's not a phenotype. It's a language.
Thank you. Trade language. Will you agree with that?
Hmm.
All right.
As
So
with a Semitic. I mean, it has a Semitic
I said
undertone. It's the
yes.
oldest language in the world, and so
Uh, wait. Stop. Because you just dropped something. You don't know if you be dropping jewels, Tavis. Don't be no be dropping them. I don't know if you know you just dropped this jewel. You just dropped a jewel. So the Muskogee has a Semitic root to it,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
I I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait for part two. I'm not gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. See, I'm not gonna. I'll spoil things. See, I ain't gonna do that. So I'm gonna wait. But I
Okay.
want you to give a plug real quick one more time to the institution, to your family. Shout out to your family, the Wale. And
Thank
shout out to Anon. You know what I mean? You already
you.
know what I mean when I say Anon, the acronym. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Indigenous,
Native
Native
American
American
Association.
Association of Nations.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
INON.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank
Enon.
you.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
goddamn, my pronunciations be crazy. But that's I hate for everybody that speak in certain ways. You can't be mad at me. I'm trying to get to you all your tones, goddamn, tonight. You feel me? I'm just trying to shout it out that way. You know what I mean? Respectfully. You know, culturally, everybody speak differently. Don't be mad at me, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting y'all know. Live on the air. You hear me?
Yep.
Blaze, man. You gonna play a couple songs to get out of here? All right, so we're gonna play a couple songs we get out of here tonight. And I need it. I'm gonna get listen, I need that song in SoundCloud so I can get it to my DJ and how we got it tonight. You weren't able to pull it up, God, on the board. We try listen, we're
I
gonna
got
get it,
you. No worries.
we're gonna get it right. No. Tell your peoples though, we need all their music, especially if you're dealing with the culture. I
Hmm.
need to get it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have a place for you to send it so we can make sure we can promote all the people that understand and can promote this type of information in that kind of tone of, if you know what I mean, in that kind of, you know what I mean, rhythmic. I don't know how to say it right. It's crazy. How that, you know what I mean though, in a cultural way that we
Yeah,
want to hear it in. You know what I'm saying? I respect that
no doubt.
because sometimes I don't like the music, even though I know the message is great.
Did
I'm
you
gonna
hear
say
it?
that. I have not heard it. Literally, that's how busy I've been today. I got it and I sent it to the board man, but we ain't getting no playback. How I know it's going to hear. I don't want to play it the wrong way, and when people say, "Oh," so I got to get it to the DJ who is really going to have to clear it because he didn't get a chance to really. So I'm gonna rework this. But on part two, I'm coming in on it, so we're gonna work that behind the scenes. But before you leave us tonight, I
Mhm.
thank you for joining us tonight. By the way, uh, what you want to say to the people before you leave? Tavis Sanders of NDU,
First, I'd like to
Red
say,
Tail.
first I want to thank you, thank the Autonomous Party. Thank you for allowing me to just be free with this conversation and share. Right. I know we didn't talk a lot of historical facts for people to reference. But
Right.
concepts and perspective is really important. You know what I mean? And without proper context and proper perspective, facts are meaningless. Because you're just going to be repeating what our colonizer is sharing with us. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me just to share and be comfortable with just speaking freely about where we are, about some of the things that we're doing, and thank you for helping me to share, to grow and share, recognizing that we ain't out here telling everybody, everything. But, we feel like it's really important for education. So Indigenous education, you can find us at indedu.org. Again, we have lessons and books and educational presentations and documentaries. And I don't know if you noticed, but we even have some free PDFs available that we wrote, that offers people opportunity to just experience or learn from some of the things that we've experienced. Or again, my mother and my father teachers, so a lot of it is built for you to be able to reference for yourself and then take it and then offer it to your children. And so thank y'all for, these 12 years of, helping me to stay motivated, and continuing to push Indigenous education. It's definitely one aspect of a larger issue that we have. And so, for those people that ask what to do next, we're going to say go to school. But, once you finish school, it's really easy to find out what to do next. You be yourself and be great at it. And so thanks, everybody. I hope to see y'all soon. And thank y'all so much for helping this Indigenous thing grow in a very productive and honorable way. Let's keep the ethics. Let's keep some morality about us, some respect, particularly when we're dealing with each other first and foremost. And then the rest of the world will be able to fall in line because we got this.
Well, I'm letting we plugged into you. You already know we plugged into you. Tolerance Party.
Yeah, we
We
got
plugged into the
contracts.
we
I ain't
got
gonna front.
contract.
We've got contracts together.
We got contracts. See, that's how indigenous people can do contracts with each other
Yeah, definitely.
live. We're saying
Hmm.
that. That's on the air. Like I'm plugged
Business
into them.
contracts. You know what I'm
The
saying?
business
Like,
contracts. It's not no right, God. Like this ain't no. You know what I'm saying? We planning for the future. What we gonna do for
mm,
our community. You know what I'm saying? Of people like, and that's
right.
why I appreciate you coming on here because of what I know. I took some people with. Shout out to the people that did this with me. You know what I'm saying? To move with you and see you for what you really are showing and what you have. And it's just a beautiful thing that it came out in a lot of ways. Because I could say this too before I leave. I'm gonna play after before I leave. I'm gonna play a song and go. I put you on to somebody that took you back to the 1400s. Am I lying?
One of my cousins take us to a graveyard. We're like, whoa, wow, that's our family right there. That's amazing. So yes,
That
thank
plug,
you very much, man.
right? That plug happened, right?
Yes.
Between me and you meeting on Clubhouse, and me
Hmm.
being like, hold up, wait a second. So, what's your surnames? Because we do genealogy around here, real life and real talk conversations. Ain't no scam up with God, right? And I'll be like, hold up, wait a second. So you from what area and what surname? Wait a minute. And then when you met the person, because I ain't shouting them out, let people business out there like that, right? But you
Hmm.
can confirm and factual, because people might want to call this shit
It
out,
still
right?
look
This is
like us,
history.
man. He look like yeah, but definitely
He
we
look
was
like you, like yeah, literally. Y'all look like for
we
real.
still look
That's real
like
shit. Y'all literally, you feel me? You see it, God? Like you see it, right? Y'all go back to the 1400s
mhm. That's really
in
cool.
Allensdale,
In
South
Allendale, South
Carolina.
Carolina. Yep. Wale Country.
Wale Country. That shit crazy. Either way, Shira, right? I had
Hmm.
somebody ask me the other day, did the Shira? I'm like, man, yeah, we know somebody that knows Shira. I literally know somebody. I'm like, man, I know somebody that got Shira on their shit. You know what I'm saying? I can shout out Catawba. I can shout out Blackfoot. Some people like to say Blackfoot. I learned recently Saponi or Black Catawba is the better term to use. But a lot of people that say Blackfoot. But you know what I'm saying? Or shout out to the Washita because I've dealt with the Washita in a relationship of business contracts at one time. And they one of the first ones to give me a contract, and it got to do anything. You know what I'm saying? Conference, anything to represent anything for the culture of our people. Washita out of Louisiana, brother
Facts.
Joe. He ain't gonna lie, true story.
Respect.
It's what it is, and obviously, Yamasi. You know what I mean? Wale, relationship, Yacht Seminole. You know what I mean? Muskogee, relationships. I have a maroon type of living. So I'm glad that this is how all correlates back. That's why I'm gonna bring you back on the show very soon. And shout out to the institution. We have contracts. And as a matter of fact, and very soon we're gonna be putting out to the public. That's why I gotta bring you back. Cause we about to put something out. You know what I'm saying? Like we about to drop a collaboration on record type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I want the people to know clarity wise on what we about to drop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
that'd be
I ain't
cool.
scared to let them know what we about to do. You know what I mean? What's about to happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts. Yeah, man, I didn't even talk
I
about my autonomous village that I got in DC and one in Philly. Like literally
exactly. That's what
downtown.
I'm saying.
You know,
Real
so
soon. Real soon. You coming
vision
back,
is
we gotta
power,
have a
baby.
conversation, bro. I gotta have another conversation with you about a lot of more things, what we're doing in real time that has been happening behind the scenes and how it's evolving. But on a promotional level, the Thomas Party, NDU, we definitely are intertwined. We are contracted with each other to do certain things, and I'm not scared to say that in live situations what we're getting ready to do. And in 2022, I'm telling y'all, we on the offense. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say. We on the offense, and we're gonna be helping people get educated. We hoping to help some people with some the children with 6 through 12, as you brought up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
With it,
Hmm.
which means it's a real certificate, right? That they
Hmm.
can graduate and say they got and go get a job and all that good
Go to
stuff. You know
college.
what I mean? Right?
Mhm.
Go to college with it. Exactly. So you hear that, Blaze? God, you heard that? This is what we doing. You see, and that's a beautiful. I'm not gonna go into detail because I really you blew my spot up tonight. I ain't gonna lie, you beat me to the point. That's why part two has to be, but I appreciate you for doing it because it really gets me on the game of that we're real about what we're really doing. You ain't scared to say, hey, we're making these plans, this is what we about to do to help our people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, because number one, I need everybody to hold me accountable, hold the institution accountable, but also, what's the point if the people aren't interested and aren't participative? And so,
That's a
it
fact.
definitely is time for us to be a little bit more vocal, but also is time for us to ask for the help from the people. And so that's a little bit of what's
Programs
happening
and all.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm on a
teachers and
campaign.
all.
I'm on a campaign for teachers and all right now. Anybody hear this? Can't teachers any source that you're teaching, course that you're teaching, you're accredited in it from this system that you come out of. Obviously, we have a system that we're trying to set up right now that we can add and build, as he just said, to it. You know what I mean? And you can
Hmm.
reach out to him. He has a website. But again, if you know me already, you know what we're doing. So
Yeah.
tap in. Uh, anything you want to say before you go into the mix, man? I appreciate you tonight, man. Appreciate you.
indedu.org. Please stay tuned to the Autonomous Party. I definitely be more than welcome to come back and to expand the conversation and definitely share more. Thank you so much for supporting the organization. And everybody is a legit nonprofit organization. Come to school, donate your money, get your money back at the end of the year. If you going to school for free. And you supporting the organization that's legit, an organization established. My mother and I, neither one of us pay ourselves. We put into the organization, so all of the funding that the organization gets goes to establishing, things like other books, or like I said, that autonomous zone, which we'll talk about next time we get on here. And so,
Oh
thank y'all
yes, we
very
will.
much.
Yeah, man. I want people to get to know you tonight. Into
Yeah,
the
thanks.
mix.
No doubt, I appreciate
Savage.
that.
Nah, man. I don't want to go crazy. Because it can be overwhelming. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'm trying to I gotta ask my questions in process. This is the first interview I gotta act like I had to like process how I'm going to go through the questions. But I felt like I had to take my time so people get to know the relationship. You know what I'm saying? And get to
Mhm.
know you and the institution that you're bringing to the table. That's going to be a solution to a lot of people's problems. You know what I mean? So people got to get to know the character of the person. I feel because they can go to your website now that you gave it out, and there's a lot of things we promoted ourselves. They can go see what you're doing and be what you're about. You know what I mean? And if you're
Mhm.
for real or not, they're going to have to find out for themselves, right? But
Right.
we want the institutions backing up what you're saying. That's why we got you on the show to say, "Hey, yo, you here? Yeah, this is what it's one of the solutions, and we got a solution, and we're going to be doing some things to collaborate to give out better solutions in the
Mhm.
future as well." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm fucking with it. Just
It's
straight
an
up, real
ever-growing
talk,
process of evolving. You know what I mean? Come
real talk.
join in. You know what I mean? Let's be great together, kind of thing.
That's real talk, man. That's what is a beautiful thing. Blaze, man, take us out of here. Tavis, I appreciate you, bro.
Great
I'll
night.
see you
Thank
next
y'all.
time, man. Nah,
One.
anytime, anytime. Anytime you got an update, even you need 15 minutes, tag me in. I get you in here. That's how we work that out. You feel me? NDU. That's an NDU update. Anytime it's an NDU update, you need to tap in to our platform, you know what I mean, to put some information out to the public. You know what I mean? You feel me, God? We're going to squeeze you in for the 15, 20 minutes to make sure you get that out. So I'm letting you know that's why I'm going to see you again because we're intertwined the same way we talked about. So shout out to you for tapping in tonight and give us your time. And shout out to your family. You know what I mean? Once again, shout out to my family. Like I said, what's the word? Yahuda. Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Peace and love, everybody. Next week, Sunday, 8 to 11. We got the money corner. We got the money corner situation popping off. Yeah, I got money corner come back to visit us. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's a lot of stuff about to be dropped on some economic. I'm gonna have that panel actually set up after he talks about some things and ask some questions. Better than I can ask questions because I ain't gonna act like I'm the most economic goddamn person in the world. You know what I mean? But I like to play Monopoly. You know what I'm saying? So if I can figure out a way to get some property, you feel me, God? You see me? Don't play with me, Blaze. So check us out next week, 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Long way from that west side. No way. I just wanna make love. I just wanna make peace. I just wanna stay free, yeah. Yeah. I just wanna make love. I just wanna make peace. I just wanna stay free, yeah. I just wanna stay free, yeah. I just wanna make love. I just wanna make peace. I just wanna stay free, yeah. I just wanna stay free, yeah. Yeah. I come from a city where it's really hard. I'm really from them projects. When I got, I really seen them dead bodies off in the alley. Real talk, no capping. It really happened. 11 months old when they murdered my daddy. Mama so crack. I ain't even bragging. Whole life been drama. Whole life been pain. Childhood trauma. Whole life been a puzzle. Sometimes I struggle. All the time I hustle. Got that from my mama's side. Gunshots in my bedroom. Still got me traumatized. So happy I'm alive. I'm an angel in disguise. I'm divine. Yeah. I done lost a lot of things, but never lost my mind, never lost my shine. Stay free. Stay free.